Have you ever wondered what it means to truly hold on to hope, even when the world turns its back on you? This is the story of a 3-year-old dog, a soul so pure, yet so bruised by life. A little creature who once had a family, a warm bed, and someone to wag his tail for. But one day, all of that was gone. Left alone on the cold streets, he waited. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Still, he waited, hungry, frightened, but full of love. He didn't understand why he was left behind. He didn't understand why the ones he loved never came back. But what he did understand was that love never gives up. And neither did he. In a world where too many turn away from those who have no voice, this dog, small in size but mighty in spirit, kept believing. In every passing stranger, he saw a chance. In every kind word, a flicker of hope. Today, we're going to share his journey, not just of heartbreak, but of incredible resilience, of how even in the darkest moments, the light of love can still shine through. This isn't just a story about a dog. It's a story about faith, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between hearts. So sit with us for a few moments and witness the power of a love that simply refused to fade. Early life of the dog. He was born on a quiet morning in the corner of an old shed, tucked away behind a small farmhouse. One of 5 puppies, he was the smallest, fragile, with soft brown eyes and a tail that wagged at every gentle touch. The world was new to him, full of smells, sounds, and warmth. For a while, life was simple. His mother nursed him and his siblings, keeping them close and safe. He would stumble around the hay, playfully nipping at his brothers and sisters, falling, getting up again, and learning how to bark, even if it was barely more than a squeak. His days were filled with little adventures, chasing butterflies, rolling in the dirt, and curling up under the sun. The humans around him seemed kind. A pair of hands would pick him up every now and then, cradle him, laugh at his tiny yawns. He grew to love those moments when he felt like he belonged, like he was part of something, a home. As weeks passed, his siblings were taken away one by one. He didn't understand why they left or where they went. He would wait by the gate, tilting his head, hoping they'd come running back. But they never did. Eventually, he was the only one left. Still, he kept his spirit bright. He'd greet his humans with the same joy, follow them around with his tail wagging, always hoping for a cuddle or a kind word. He didn't need much, just a little love and someone to give it to. At 3 months old, he had grown into a playful, trusting little dog, the kind who would chase after your shadow just to be near you. He didn't know what the future held. He only knew how to give love without question, without limits. And that love, as we'll come to see, never faded. Moment of abandonment or loss, it was just another sunny afternoon. The little dog jumped with excitement as his owner picked up the leash. He thought they were going for a walk, maybe to the park, maybe just around the block. Anywhere was perfect as long as they were together. The car ride was peaceful. The breeze touched his face, and he rested his head on the window, trusting completely. He didn't know that this would be the last time he'd sit in that car, beside the person he loved the most. They stopped near a quiet, empty field. The door opened. He was gently lifted out. He looked around, tail wagging, expecting to explore. Then the car door shut behind him. He looked up, confused. His tail slowed. In the next moment, the engine started, and before he could understand what was happening, the car was already moving. He ran. He ran as fast as his legs could carry him. But the car was faster. He barked, he cried, and then it disappeared. Dust floated in the air where the car once was. Silence, just silence. He sat down right where he was left. He waited. Maybe they'd come back. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they forgot something, forgot him. The minutes stretched into hours. The sun began to set. The shadows grew longer. Still, he didn't move. That night, he curled up under a bush, hungry, cold, afraid, still waiting. The next day, he returned to the same spot. Every sound caught his attention. Every passing car gave him hope, but no one came. He didn't understand betrayal. He didn't know what he did wrong. He only knew how to love, and he still did. Even after being left behind, he never gave up, because some hearts, no matter how broken, are made only to love. Struggles and survival, the days that followed were not kind. The little dog wandered the streets, unsure of where to go, what to do, or who to trust. His paws were sore from walking on rough roads. His ribs slowly began to show. Each garbage bin became a source of hope. Maybe there was a scrap, a leftover, a piece of something to keep him going. He slept wherever he could find a corner, behind broken fences, under parked cars, in piles of cardboard. Rain didn't wait for him to find shelter. Cold didn't ask if he was okay. Sometimes people passed by, some ignored him, some shooed him away, and once or twice, someone threw a stone. But still, he didn't bite, he didn't growl. He simply walked away, heart heavy, but still beating with quiet hope. A few kind souls left bits of food, a piece of bread, a half-eaten sandwich. He learned to eat fast before the bigger dogs came. He learned to hide when he heard shouting, to run when engines revved too close, to survive even when survival felt impossible. One night, as he lay curled under a bench, his body shaking from the cold, he looked up at the stars. Maybe he was remembering the warmth of his first home. Maybe he was wishing, without knowing how, for love again. But no matter how broken his world became, he didn't give up. Because somewhere deep inside that tired, weathered body lived a heart that still believed in kindness. He kept walking, kept searching, kept surviving, and that was nothing short of a miracle. Ray of hope. It was a rainy evening when it happened. The little dog was huddled in a corner, drenched to the bone, his fur matted with mud. He was tired, exhausted beyond belief, and feeling as though the world had completely forgotten him. But just then, a warm light pierced the darkness. A car pulled over. The headlights shone brightly in the rain, casting long shadows on the wet pavement. The dog didn't know what to think. He didn't trust easily anymore, not after all the heartbreak. But something in him, something deep inside, told him to move closer. The car door opened, and a pair of gentle hands reached out. The woman who stepped out was no stranger. She had seen him before in passing. She had left food for him on occasion. But today something was different. She looked at him not with pity, but with understanding. A smile spread across her face, and she knelt down slowly, so as not to frighten him. For the first time in what felt like forever, the dog felt a flicker of hope. He cautiously approached her, his tail stiff, but his eyes filled with curiosity. The woman reached out, and this time he didn't pull away. She gently petted his head, speaking softly to him, her voice like a soothing melody. He had been abandoned, hurt, and left to fend for himself. But here, now, in the quiet of the evening, something shifted in his heart. He could feel warmth again. He could feel safety. For the first time in a long time, he let himself believe again. The woman didn't rush him. She sat with him for a while, letting him take his time. She spoke to him as if he understood every word, promising that he wasn't alone anymore. After a while, she stood up, slowly, and motioned for him to follow. She opened the door of her car, and this time the dog didn't hesitate. He climbed in, curling up on the seat, resting his head on her lap. She drove him to her home, a small, cozy house with a warm fireplace and a blanket waiting for him. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just surviving. He was starting to live again. The days that followed were filled with little victories. He learned to trust again. Slowly but surely, he began to realize that love wasn't something that could easily be taken away. In this new home, there was food, there was warmth, there was love, and more than anything, there was a promise. A promise that he would never be left behind again. The once lonely little dog who had wandered the streets with nothing but the hope of a better tomorrow, now had everything he needed. And with every passing day, he grew stronger, his spirit healed, and his heart full of the love he had been waiting for. He knew that no matter what happened, he had found his place. Not because he was given a second chance, but because he had never stopped believing in the power of love. The hope that had once felt like a distant dream was now his reality. He had found home again. New beginning. It wasn't just a new home, it was a new life. The little dog had spent so long alone, struggling to survive. But now, in the warmth of this new house, surrounded by kindness, he began to rediscover what it meant to truly live. The first few days were filled with simple pleasures. A soft bed where he could sleep without fear. A full bowl of food waiting for him every morning. The feeling of being cared for, of being wanted. At first, he was cautious, unsure of the rules of this new life. He didn't know how to play with the toys at first, or why he was allowed to sleep inside the house instead of out in the cold. But slowly he learned. Every day, there was something new to discover. A new smell, a new sound, a new person to meet. He began to explore the backyard, running around with joy, feeling the grass under his paws for the first time in so long. He could chase the ball, roll in the dirt, and bark to his heart's content, without worrying that he'd be left behind. The first time he saw himself in a mirror, he stood still for a moment, unsure of the dog staring back at him. But then something clicked. He had changed. His eyes no longer reflected just fear and longing. There was trust now, hope, and most importantly, happiness. The woman who had saved him became his anchor. He followed her everywhere, through the kitchen, the living room, the garden. He sat by her feet when she worked, resting his head on her lap when she watched TV. They shared every moment together, as if no time had ever been lost. With every passing day, the dog became more confident. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a companion. He was family. He no longer had to worry about where his next meal would come from. He no longer had to sleep in the cold or search for shelter. He could now just be. And as the weeks turned into months, his transformation was nothing short of miraculous. His coat grew shiny and healthy again. His tail never stopped wagging. His heart, which had once been shattered, now beat strong and steady, full of love for the one who had never given up on him. The bond between them deepened every day. The woman knew that the little dog was not just her pet. He was her friend, her confidant, and her reminder that love can heal even the deepest wounds. And for the little dog, his life had come full circle. He had gone from the cold streets, abandoned and forgotten, to a place where he was cherished and adored. Every step he took now was a reminder that love, no matter how late, can always find its way home. He had found his forever home, and in this new beginning, he knew that no matter what, he would never be alone again. Lesson and message. As we reach the end of the story, we can reflect on the most important lessons that the little dog's journey teaches us. Lessons that go beyond just survival, but into the heart of what it means to hope, to love, and to never give up. Firstly, this story shows us the strength of unwavering hope. Even after being abandoned, rejected, and left in the cold, the dog never lost the ability to believe in a better tomorrow. His story is a reminder that even in the darkest moments, hope has the power to carry us through. The dog never stopped searching for love, even when the world seemed to turn its back on him. This story also teaches us the immense power of kindness. Every small act of kindness, whether it's offering food, a kind word, or simply showing someone that they matter, can change the course of someone's life. It was the small acts of kindness that the little dog received that gave him a second chance, a new beginning. The woman who saw him and decided to help believed that he deserved another shot at happiness. That belief saved his life, and in turn, it taught him that kindness is something worth living for. But perhaps the greatest lesson we learn from this journey is the power of resilience. The little dog, no matter how many times he was knocked down, never stopped fighting for survival. He endured pain, loneliness, and fear, yet he carried on. His story is a powerful reminder that strength isn't about never falling, but about getting back up every time we fall. It's easy to lose hope when the world seems so harsh, but the little dog's journey shows us that no matter how tough things get, if we keep moving forward, If we keep believing in ourselves, a better future is always within reach. Even when we feel abandoned, there is always the possibility of finding our place in the world. Through this story, we also realize that true love isn't just about being saved by someone, but about finding the strength to love again. After all the hardship, the dog found a new home, not because he was given a second chance, but because he chose to believe in love again. He found his way back to trust, and through that, he found a family who would love him forever. Lastly, the story teaches us that sometimes we have to lose everything to find the things that truly matter: love, trust, hope. The little dog lost everything he knew, but in that loss, he found the one thing he needed most: a family who cared. His story is proof that even the darkest of times can lead to the brightest of new beginnings. The dog's journey is not just a story about survival. It's about rediscovering hope. It's about finding love again after it feels like all has been lost. And it's about realizing that no matter how many challenges life throws at us, the possibility of a new beginning is always there, just waiting for us to take that first step. So, the biggest lesson we take from this story is simple. Never give up. Keep going. Believe in love, believe in kindness, and believe in yourself, because just like the little dog, you might be closer to your new beginning than you think. The final moment, as the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the little dog's life had transformed beyond anything he could have imagined. He no longer wandered the streets, searching for scraps or shelter. He had found a home, a family that loved him, a family who had given him not just food, but hope, not just a bed, but a place where he truly belonged. Every morning, he would wake up beside the woman, the one who had saved him from the cold, dark streets. He would nudge her gently, as if saying, "Thank you for bringing me here. Thank you for believing in me." And every time she looked into his eyes, she would smile, knowing that he had found the love he deserved. The dog now had a purpose. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a companion, a friend, and a reminder of what unconditional love can do. His tail wagged every time he saw the woman. His heart beat with joy every time she called his name. There were still moments when he would look out the window, as if searching for something or someone. But now, it wasn't the longing for freedom that filled his eyes. It was the understanding that this, right here, was where he was meant to be. And then, one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden light across the room, the dog sat by the window, gazing out at the world. He had been through so much. He had been abandoned, lost, and alone. But here, in this moment, he realized that all of that had led him to this place, to this family, to this love. The little dog's journey had been long and difficult, but it had brought him home. He looked up at the woman who was sitting beside him now, and they both stared out the window in silence. The sun was setting, but the light inside the room felt warm, comforting, and full of peace. The dog had found what he had been searching for all along: a home, a family, and a place where he was loved. No longer the scared, abandoned dog he once was, he had become the center of someone's world. Someone who saw him not as a stray, but as a beloved companion. And as the night settled in, the little dog curled up on his favorite spot on the couch, nestled beside the woman, his heart full, knowing that the love he had once lost, he had found again. Thanks for watching.